Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Today we are going to revise 3 poems. Patriot into Traitor, After Apple Picking, and Say This City Has 10 million souls. Poem number 6, Patriot into Traitor by Robert Browning. Robert Browning was an English poet and playwright. His mastery of the dramatic monologue made him one of the foremost Victorian poets. His poems are known for their irony, characterization, dark humor, social commentary, historical settings, challenging vocabulary, and syntax. The poem Patriot into Traitor is a good example of dramatic monologue. A dramatic monologue is a poem in the form of a speech or narrative by an imagined person, in which the speaker reveals aspects of other people while describing a particular situation or series of events. In this poem, the love leader of yesterday has been turned into traitor. Now he is the most wretched person. He exposes his grief and sorrows about his downfall. He compares his condition as hero with that of a traitor. It was roses, roses all the way, with myrtle mixed in my path like mad. The house roofs seemed to heave and sway. The church spires flamed, such flags they had, a year ago on this very day. The poet presents the picture of a hero who is on his way to the gallows. A year ago, when he was passing that same way, the path was covered with all kinds of flowers. People were so much excited. There was a big crowd of people on the road. Even many of them were gathered at the top of their roofs. The air broke into a mist with bells. The old walls rocked with the crowd and cried. Had I said, good folk, mere noise repels, but give me your son from yonder skies. They had answered, and afterwards what else? A year ago he was welcomed with ringing bells, and there were people all around. The air was filled with mist because of the noise of the bells. The roofs and walls seemed to be moving to and fro because of the big crowd of people. They were so much happy to see their hero. It was the time when they were ready to do even impossible tasks for him and demanded for more duties to perform just to make him happy. Alack, it was I who leaped at the sun to give it my loving friends to keep. Naught man could do have I felt undone. And you see my harvest, what I reap, this very day, now a year is run. In these lines, the hero explains with sorrow that he tried his best to do everything for his people. He even tried the things which were not possible to do, but instead of receiving a reward, he is regarded as a traitor and is being mistreated. There's nobody on the housetops now, just a pale-side few at the windows set, for the best of the sight is all allowed at the shambles gate, or, better yet, by the very scaffold's foot, I trow. In these lines, the patriot turned into traitor says that today there is nobody on the tops of the houses. There are only a few sick, pale-faced persons sitting at the windows of the houses and looking at him passing that way. The rest of all the people he knows have reached the shambles gate, where he is going to be hanged and put to death. He knows that all the people are waiting at the foot of the scaffold to see him being killed. This is the misfortune of the yester hero now branded as a traitor. I go in the rain, and more than needs. A rope cuts both my wrists behind, and I think by the feel my forehead bleeds. For they fling, whoever has a mind, stones at me for my years' misdeeds. These lines depict sorrowful and miserable condition of past hero and today's traitor. His hands are tied behind him with a stout rope. The rope is cutting at the hands. He feels that his forehead is bleeding. The people are throwing stones at him. They are cursing him for his last year's deeds, which are now termed as misdeeds. Thus I entered, and thus I go, in triumph. People have dropped down dead, paid by the world. What dost thou owe me? God might question now instead. Its God shall repay, I am safer so. The hero entered the city with a great pomp and show. Now he is leaving the city in degradation. If he had died during the days of his triumph, as some heroes die, he would have been lucky. But then Allah would have given him no reward, as he has got reward in the world from the people. But now he has been rejected and degraded by the people, and he hopes that he will get a better reward. Now some important questions of the poem. Question number 1. Discuss the poem as a dramatic monologue. Question number 2. What is the relevance of this poem to the political conditions prevailing in the countries of the Third World? Now we are going to revise poem number 15, After Apple Picking by Robert Frost. Robert Frost was born in San Francisco, California, where his father, William Prescott Frost, had settled in search of his fortunes. His father died at an age of 34, and his mother started teaching in a small school. Frost and his sister started studying in the same school. He did all kinds of odd jobs to supplement his mother's meager salary. Then he was sent to a high school, and his first poem appeared in the high school bulletin when he was 15. The first volume of his poem is A Boy's Will. Frost won many honors in his life. He was one of the few authors to receive the gold medal from National Institute of Arts and Letters. After Apple Picking is one of the greatest of nature lyrics in English poetry. This poem brings out the poet's enjoyment of the scenes, sights, sounds and scents of nature. It is, on the other hand, a monologue of an exhausted apple picker. After Apple Picking. My long two-pointed ladders sticking through a tree towards heaven still, and there's barrel that I didn't fill. beside it, and there may be 2 or 3 apples I didn't pick upon some bough. But I'm done with apple picking now. Essence of winter sleep is on the night, the scent of apples I am drowsing off. In these lines, there is a very fine and vivid description of the atmosphere in the orchard. The poem begins with a description of the apple picker who has stuck his 2 pointed ladder through a tree, and although there may be 2 or 3 barrels that he has not filled yet, and although there may be 2 or 3 apples which he didn't pick, he doesn't want to do apple picking any longer. He is not only fed up of apple picking, but the scent of the picked apples has induced sleep into him. He feels that he can't work, even if he desires to. I cannot rub the strangeness from my sight I got from looking through a pane of glass I skimmed this morning from the drinking trough, and held against the world of hoary grass. It melted, and I let it fall and break, but I was well upon my way to sleep before it fell, and I could tell what form my dreaming was about to take. In these lines, the poet says that he cannot rub off the stranger's sensation of laziness that he got because of gazing through a sheet of ice he obtained from the water trough and looked at the grass covered with frost. The qualities transform the scene completely, and the apple picker can neither get rid of this strange quality nor can he comprehend the transformed world, as he unknowingly steps into the realm of this world of sleepiness. The poet says that before the sheet of ice in his hand melted and fell down, he was merely asleep. But he says that he can anticipate what kind of dream he was going to have in his sleep. Magnified apples appear and disappear, stem end and blossom end, and every fleck of russet showing clear. My instep arc not only keeps the arc, it keeps the pressure of ladder round. I feel the ladder sway as the boughs bend, and I keep hearing from the cellar bin the rumbling sound of load on load of apples coming in, for I have had too much of apple picking. I am overtired of the great harvest I myself desired. In these lines, the poet describes that the apples are very big and sweet, which appear at the stem and blossom and disappear. Each and every stain or spot of red or brown color on apples is seen clearly. He is so busy apple picking all day long that apples have got into his dreams. The apple picker is dead tired. His instep arc is aching due to the constant pressure of his body on the ladder. Sleep has overpowered him completely. He feels that ladder under his feet is swaying. He is also hearing the constant noise of apples falling on the ground and moving here and there. He is feeling exhausted because he has done too much of apple picking. There were 10,000 fruit to touch, cherish in hand, lift down and not let fall, for all that struck the earth. no matter if not bruised or spiked with stubble, went surely to the cider apple heap, as of no worth. One can see what will trouble this sleep of mine, whatever sleep it is. Were he not gone, the woodchuck could say whether it's like his long sleep, as I describe its coming on, or just some human sleep. The poet has not yet picked all fruit. There are still thousands of apples on the tree. He has to pick fruit carefully, as the apples which fell down on earth are of no value because they struck the earth and are bruised. The poet wonders about the nature of sleep, whatever sleep it is. The question that poses itself is this sleep the ordinary everyday sleep? Is it comparable to the hibernation of the woodchuck? Or is it the sleep of death? All these possibilities are suggested, and the poet leaves the question unanswered, leaving the reader to draw his own conclusions. We feel that the poet would like it to be just some human sleep. Some important questions of the poem after apple picking. Question number 1. What does the empty barrel signify? Question number 2. What does the poet mean by human sleep? Question number 3. Can you find points of comparison between this poem and Lights Out? Now we move forward and revise the next poem, that is Say This City Has 10 Million Souls by W. H. Auden. This is 20th poem of your book. W. H. Auden was born in 1907 and was educated at Oxford. He moved to the US in 1939 and became an American citizen. His later work displayed his concern with philosophy and religion as opposed to his youthful enthusiasm for left-wing politics. He experimented fruitfully with different verse forms. The poem describes a sense of alienation and isolation of outsiders coming to a country not their own. He is talking specifically of the German Jews who fled their country afraid of Hitler's persecution, but the feelings conveyed are equally appropriate for any other immigrants. The passport is used as a symbol of personal identity, yet it is a meaningless document that excludes any human consideration. Man is imprisoned in 1,000 shackles of race, of nationality, of passports. These immigrants become the hunted, the unwanted, being tracked down by soldiers. For them all doors and windows are closed. In the poem, Say This City Has 10 Million Souls, W. H. Auden tells us about the miserable plight of the immigrant German Jews. Everyone considers them alien in the USA. They face many problems even to get passports, so they have to live a lonely and miserable life. The poet says that nearly 2 million people live in the American city New York. The rich people are living in big mansions and bungalows. The poor are living in poorly built huts and slums. In spite of all this, the poor immigrants have no shelter at all. No one allows them to live anywhere in the city. The poet tells us that the immigrants say that at one time they also had a country of their own, which was very dear to them. If the reader looks at the atlas, he will certainly find it in it. But the sorrow is that they cannot go to their own country because of the fear of Hitler, who forced them to leave their country. The poet says that the immigrants say that in the village there is an old yew tree in the old churchyard. Every year a new flower blossoms in spring, but the old passports cannot be renewed when expired. Nobody realizes their difficulties. In next lines, the immigrants say that the consul banged the table and told them that if they had no passport with them, they were officially dead. The consul said these words when they went to him to request to solve the problem. But the immigrants say that although actually they are alive, yet consul is not ready to admit them alive and pay any attention to their problems. The immigrants went to the municipal committee for the solution of their problems. The official offered them chairs to sit on. Then they told them very politely that they should come the next year as they had no time to attend to their problem. In this way, their problem remained standing as to where they should go at the moment. Some important questions. Question number 1. The poet has used several images. What effect does this create? Question number 2. What is the basic theme of the poem? Question number 3. What are some of the typically urban elements of the poem? Students, now you have to work harder as your exams are approaching. I wish you good luck in every walk of life. Thank you so much.